The gospel reading of today is like helping us to see the goal of what God promised in the first reading. The life of the people of Israel at that time was a life of disobedience, a life in disobedience, a life that they lived in contrast to the faith they had received. But God made a promise that he would restore their fallen away people. God promised to save them. And in the gospel reading today, we see how Jesus fulfilled this promise of God. He chose 12 men from among the disciples. The disciples were very many, but from all this, he chose 12 men. And even though one of the men later betrayed him, but he chose them anyway. And the commissioning was an important event in the lives of these apostles. And we need to listen to what Jesus told them. He said to them, "Do not enter any pagan territory, but instead go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." Immediately we hear that, we can begin to question, did Jesus send his disciples or his apostles only to people of Israel? No. But the commission of the apostles to go and preach the gospel was given in stages. This is stage 1. I often talk about Israel as God's satellite project. When we look at God's relationship with Israel of old, we notice that that is exactly the kind of relationship that God intends for the whole world. And that is why the church, spreading to all corners of the world, has become the new Israel, and the apostles are the leaders. I say it is stage by stage, because if we read this passage together with the Gospel according to St. Matthew chapter 28, we notice that in the new commission before his ascension, Jesus told the apostles, "Go throughout the world and proclaim the gospel to every living being. And for those who believe, baptize them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit." And that's the same commission he gave them according to St. Luke. If we read Acts of the Apostles chapter 1 verse 8, where he said, all authority, he told them, "Stay in Jerusalem until you have received power from above. And then you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, in the entire Judea, yes, to the farthest end of the world." This commission of the apostles has borne fruit. That is why we are here. We are fruits of the apostolic work of the apostles. We see already in Acts of the Apostles how persecution in Jerusalem was the stimulator, the catalyst for the spread of the gospel. And we notice that even before they scattered to other parts of the then known world, the Apostle Peter met with this good man called Cornelius. If we read Acts of the Apostles chapter 10, and Cornelius, although he was not a Jew, he was a good man, one of the people called God-fearing men, who were non-Jews but lived like Jews. So when Peter was preaching to him, he received the Holy Spirit and began to show the signs that the apostles showed. And Peter made the famous statement, "Now I know that God has no favorites, but that anyone from every part of the world who believes in him and does what is right is acceptable to him." And therefore, when we now read the challenge that faced the church, if we read Acts of the Apostles chapter 16, the problem that arose in the church in Antioch about whether non-Jews would be accepted to be Christians without circumcision. The matter was resolved, and the first encyclical letter was written and sent to the churches, especially the church in Antioch. That letter, that first encyclical letter, became the basis of what all the apostles preached and wrote. And I often call it one of the written examples of depositum fidei, the deposit of the faith. Today in the world, people are confused, and there is no reason for that confusion. The Catholic Church is built on the foundation of Peter and the apostles. And that is why we say that the true church is apostolic. That is to say, it is built on the faith of the apostles. There is no confusion in this. And when we see the noise being made in the world, it is very easy for us to make a clear distinction between what is artificial or man-made and what is divine and inspired. The church says, ubi Petrus, ibi ecclesia. There we find Peter. There is the church. Where is Peter today? Peter is in the person of Pope Leo XIV. He is Peter. And therefore, where he stands, that's where the church is. There is no need for confusion. The Catholic Church is not a gathering of human ideologies or suggestions or popular democracy. No. The Church of Jesus Christ is that faith that was built on Peter and the faith of the apostles, and is today in the world led by Pope Leo XIV. There is no confusion in this. As we continue to celebrate this Mass, let us be aware of our link with the apostles, our vocation to follow that teaching of the apostles, and our vocation to live according to the faith that the apostles taught us.